All right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are finishing up DC week with DC's newest superhero, Shazam. It's actually a really old superhero, but newest superhero movie. Yeah. With me again is Chad Clinton Freeman. This is a follow-up to the Superman the movie episode we did earlier this week. And Shazam is doing awesome in the box office, but it's definitely a smaller superhero movie. This is not like the Batman v Superman. It's not Wonder Woman, and it's not any of the Marvel movies, quite frankly. But it is a lot of fun, and it's a different tone for one of these movies, especially a DC movie, but really superhero movies in general. There's not a lot that are this silly and fun, really, when it comes down to it. So it was a lot of fun to talk about. So before we do get into that conversation, though, I want to remind you, as always, to please make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together on your podcast app of choice, and follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. I'll tell you a bunch of other things to do after the conversation. So for now, why don't we get into it? So, everybody, welcome to our second DC movie of the week. We're talking about Shazam, and with me, of course, is Chad Clinton Freeman. Chad, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, exciting week here on the podcast with the DC movies. Definitely had to have me here for both episodes, and I'm super excited for that.
Well, yeah, I have been looking forward to this one. This was a movie that I thought could really, really go either way, and it looked like it could very well be terrible or be really, really fun. I will get into it as we continue as to what I thought of it. But I did get to see it the other day. You just got to see it today, and we know DC movies are a big deal for you, my friend, and so I'm glad to have you here. We will, at the end of the episode, talk a little bit about the overall DC cinematic universe, but right now, let's jump into Shazam, and what do you got for your first puzzle piece?
All right, so first puzzle piece, I thought about this for a bit because, there's one that's kind of obvious. I'm not going to jump into that one right off the bat. This one, more I thought about it, it became obvious, but Teen Wolf, the Michael J. Fox movie from the 80s. That is my first puzzle piece. I mean, this is very much Teen Wolf. In a lot of ways, you've got the kid that learns that he has this power, and then it kind of goes to his head a little bit, and it's more of like, what can he get out of this, as opposed to what good can he do with it, or how can I help the people that are in my life. And so it's very much in line with Teen Wolf in that regard. Michael J. Fox's character becomes this wolf, and then he becomes basically this sellout because he becomes really, really cool and popular, and all of the popular kids are like, oh yeah, that's my buddy or whatever, and then he's really good at basketball, and then of course he learns this lesson that it's not just all about that, and then at the end of the day he ends up choosing the girl that was his friend all along, as opposed to the hot girl who just wanted him because he was cool and he was really good at basketball when he was a wolf. So there's a lot of similarities in some regards with this movie, and I thought that it fit really well also because this movie tonally just feels like an 80s movie in a lot of ways.
It does.
It really does. Just right off the bat, we are going to discuss a little, more and more about what we think about it. But I think tonally, I think they hit it like perfectly as far as a superhero movie that kind of pleases both the people that are into, the dark elements, as well as being kid friendly, as well as being funny. I think it nails all of that. To me, this is the best as far as hitting all of those things and doing it well. So for me, I thought this was a lot of fun, and that was the standout as far as like I said, it's like an '80s movie in much regards to that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It definitely has that funness of the '80s, and a lot of my puzzle pieces are going to get into that as well.
Right.
And I do want to say, I wasn't sure if I was going to save this for later or just get it out of the way now. I might as well just get it out of the way now. I would have liked this movie a lot more if it had committed to that. I think. I think that while when it does it really well. I wish that it focused more on his journey to being a superhero and not about his superhero journey once he is a superhero. I wish that was almost like the sequel. You know what I mean? Like I wish that this was more about him learning to be Shazam and like learning what that means and all that kind of stuff. I felt once we got into the the meat and potatoes of the actual plot and like actually fighting Mark Strong's character, that's when the wheels kind of fell off for me a little bit.
Okay.
And all those crazy demons, which I'm sure we'll be talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I totally agree. Though it definitely has a lot of '80s energy, and I might as well jump right in with a puzzle piece just to continue on that, and that is probably the most obvious one. I don't know if it's the one you were going to mention there.
I'm sure it is.
Big.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, of course, there's been lots of body switching movies over the years. But the classic and the one that this most resembles is a superhero version of Big. And we even get, a total on the nose reference with the floor piano scene.
Right.
But yeah, no, it definitely, like I said, as much as I have some gripes about where the story eventually heads, when it is trying to capture that vibe, it is capturing it pretty perfectly. And it's got that really fun feeling of it gets that awkwardness of a kid in an adult body and the things that change in that fantastical situation.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Big was the one I was referencing, and I was never a fan of Big. I don't like Tom Hanks. I never did like Tom Hanks, and if I went back and watched Big now, I'd probably like it even less because I like Tom Hanks even less now. I thought the fact that they did put the total on the nose reference to Big in here, I laughed at that scene. I thought that was brilliant. I'm glad that they didn't use that in the trailers. They didn't in any of the trailers I had seen. There were a lot of things that I thought were really, really smart that they kept out of the trailers. And that was one of them, which they could have easily, did. And everybody caught that without any of that in there. And the fact that it was in there just really, for me made it great. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like we both have just been saying, I mean, DC is obviously, for these last few movies, they're trying to do the whole course correction thing, like it or not, for better or worse. But they certainly went all out with the fun in this one, and those kind of '80s movies are just straight fun. So I mean, it's certainly a good blueprint to go for.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's the neat thing, because we were just talking about this in the Superman episode. This is very much in line with Superman the movie, which would definitely be a puzzle piece for me, because this movie does a lot of things and crams a lot of different movies into one. And some people might not like that it doesn't really stick to one or the other, but I really like that about it. And it just, in a lot of ways, the way that the Superman movie did that. I think we talked about, Ghostbusters, we talked about those sort of movies that came later in the 80s. And that's what I thought of in watching this one too, is that what this one did, though, that was very much like Ghostbusters, which I guess that'll be my next puzzle piece,
All right.
is that it is a dark movie. This is a very dark movie. It just is funny. That's the thing. It does dark very well. It does dark in the way that like Ghostbusters did, where you've got these could be scary to younger kids type of elements, but then it's funny and it's lighthearted. So again, that just it worked really well. It's the darkness of a lot of the DC movies already without the seriousness, and then it doesn't for me it didn't go into hammy corny territory like Aquaman. but but it was still it captured the fun and the innocence and the nativity na-
Naivety.
yeah, it's the word I'm looking for. Not although that Christmas is in this. I was not talking about the nativity scenes. It captures that spirit, which I think the '80s movies did so well. So
It's really interesting that this director David Sandberg he came from Annabelle Creation and
right.
Lights Out, which I don't think were very. I don't think I ever watched Lights Out, but I don't recall Annabelle Creation being very funny.
No. That those are not funny at all. I do like both of those movies,
Uh-huh.
and he's obviously good at what he does. He knows what he's doing. So I think this is
Yeah.
his best movie. I enjoyed both of those. I don't love either one of his other movies, but I like them both. But yeah, he definitely knows dark, and
Yeah.
I think dark and funny. I think he's a good at taking those and pairing them together.
Yeah, a friend of the show, Jason Harris, asked if it would be suitable to bring his daughter to, and I was like, "Well, there are a lot of faces that crumble, so I don't that could be a little scary."
Right.
So I'm gonna keep it in the '80s with my
Right.
next puzzle
Mhm.
piece, and that would be the Goonies.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, this is total kids adventure movie,
Right.
and kids adventure movie with high stakes, where there are scares, real serious danger, and nowadays kids movies aren't really like that. Like usually they may have danger, but it's like crazy, ridiculous, silly danger, whereas this is like actually like kind of creepy, kind of scary danger.
Right,
but
right.
but it's filled with lots of fun kids that are all laughing and having a good time in the thick of it. And I think that, and I wasn't going to use these as puzzle pieces, but I guess they kind of go along with it. But Stranger Things or the recent It movie both
Right.
kind of had that as well.
Which that's the thing. The kid in this is from the It movie.
Oh, that's right.
The kid that plays Freddy. He was actually in It. But yeah, no, it does. It captures that vibe, like those movies, like Stranger Things, and then also like It. It definitely does.
Yeah,
And in a different way than the It movie did. The It movie really, got into the like almost like dark side of that, young teenager area. This one, it's more the fun side, and it doesn't, uh, you know, veer too far into like the dark. They use like the strip club for a couple of laughs, but
yeah, yeah,
it's not like, I don't know. It's still very innocent.
yeah. Absolutely,
Very
absolutely.
very innocent.
It's a movie that totally celebrates that too. It celebrates that whole innocence of youth and just seeing the fun and everything, even in the face of like crazy danger.
Right. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, and I mean, and along those same lines, because what other just a couple of quick ones though that I thought of, I mean, Gremlins to me came to mind,
Mhm.
because Gremlins also had that like scary factor, but also fun factor,
Sure.
and that's what this does really well. And then Home Alone, mainly because of the Christmas elements. In many ways, I wish that this one would have really gone all in with the Christmas. It does it sometimes.
Mhm.
I almost wish though that they would have made this a Christmas movie and then released it, like in early December, because I really liked the elements that they had there. It was so close to actually being a Christmas movie as opposed to a movie that's around Christmas time. You know what I mean? It's very very close there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
And
this could have been the Christmas movie, and Aquaman could have been the summer movie. We all could have went to the beach and everything. And
exactly.
yeah, it's
So I
perfect.
mean, Home Alone, I definitely just and like Christmas for me, Home Alone and Gremlins, uh, two movies I love to rewatch every year, and I feel like that this one was very very close to being one of those movies where it was like, oh, you could just watch it every year at Christmas time. Instead, is one maybe every other year or every 2 or 3 years instead of every year.
Yeah, yeah, it's that war on Christmas. They don't get it anymore. All right. Well, was that your next puzzle piece? Those two?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So then I will move on to my next one. I might as well get my last '80s one out of the way here, and that would be the Indiana Jones series.
Mm,
And we've talked about this on the show before, but I mean, whenever you've got that kind of that mystical adventure type stuff, and you've got people running and things crumbling, and you always kind of get that Indiana Jones feel, and everything with the wizard, and his lair and all that stuff totally had that kind of a feeling to it. And it's just again, something we've already been talking about, but that mix of fun with actual kind of scares,
right.
actual high stakes scares, and like, oh, this is it's at its core a kids movie, but it's also dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I got two here though. That I was gonna. It kind of goes along with that.
Hmm.
Um, and these are two that I liked. A lot of people didn't like, but I kind of see like this movie kind of paired what those were doing and did it better. And one is the Dark Tower, because the Dark Tower, of course, very serious
Hmm.
movie, but you had the like that alternate world that you know like not everybody knew about, that was kind of hidden, and then it just kind of opens up and you've got the kid in there and like these again these high stake elements going on, this adventure, and then at the same time the house with the clock in the walls,
Mm.
which had the scary elements but also was in a very fun way, but of course went for me uh, too far. It veered in too far to like kid fun, and became more like corny and hammy,
Yeah.
in a just like fart jokes basically. And so this one didn't do that, and so I think it kind of combined what both of those movies were doing and did it in a better way basically.
Sure, sure. It's funny you bring up the house with the clock in its walls. Not only because we almost did an episode on it a long, long time ago, but I had in my notes, and I couldn't quite think of a good movie for it, but a movie where the heroes are kids who are yelling a lot. Which was something I had thought of back when we were doing that. We were going to do that episode
Right.
too. But yeah, I didn't really have a good example of it. But hey, that's a perfect example right there. Kids sure do love yelling.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned from the movies these last couple of years.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, is that this movie, when I saw it, was just like two other people in the audience. This is a movie that I think if you saw with like a packed house that was kids, the kids will be like yelling the whole time in the theater too.
Mm, yeah, I can
like
see that.
like Jumanji, or like the recent Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series, which I did see with packed houses with lots of kids, and you hear
Yeah.
a lot of "oh, awesome" and things like that. So I could just hear that without even anybody being there at my screening of Shazam.
I'm glad that somebody other than us liked those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The
And
kids that I saw those movies with, they love those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. So.
Well, that is a perfect segue to my next puzzle piece,
Mm-hmm.
because my next puzzle piece is those new Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Nice.
Yeah, but the reason for me is the demon monsters in this movie which totally seemed like design wise right out of those movies.
Right.
Now I'm very mixed on this. This is definitely one of the elements I'm mixed on. As you know, I love monsters in
Right.
movies, and I was kind of like cracking up and like kind of loving it when they were on screen because they were just so ridiculous and so monstery,
Mhm.
and their design is like really over the top. I mean, with all the
Right.
muscles and the
Right. Right.
mouths and the teeths and but at the same time, they didn't look like they inhabited the same space as the kids at all. Like
Right.
it was like pretty bad. Like I was shockingly bad at what they looked like. But you know, I'm down for a monster, however I could get them, and we got 8 of them, or however many of them there were. Eight,
Seven.
eight of
Seven.
7. Okay, seven deadly sins. That's right.
Seven
That's
deadly sins.
right. But yeah, but yeah, no, they were certainly an interesting choice, and you know they do kind of add into what I was saying earlier about how like I kind of wish this was more of a movie just about that learning to be a superhero, not like having to defeat 7 demons, 7
Right.
gigantic demons who could destroy everything all at
Right.
once.
Right.
But they're I don't know, they're pretty cool. Yeah, I'm so torn on
Yeah,
monsters.
yeah, I enjoyed them. In many ways, almost there were a number of things that made me think of past DC movies, and those monsters were definitely one of them that made me think of Batman v Superman, and of course Doomsday, and
They had his neck.
it was like making fun of Doomsday in a way is how I took it. You know what I mean? It's almost like
Yeah.
a playful um like oh you thought you thought that was because some people hated Doomsday. I love Doomsday. But it
Uh-huh.
was almost like it was like oh you thought that was over the top. Well, here look at these guys
Yeah.
and yeah, almost in that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kind of way where it almost it doesn't quite veer off that far, but almost that it veers off so that it's like is this like supposed to be silly? Is this supposed to be like serious or
Right, right.
it's so in this weird like area. But in that regard, I mean, I liked it. I thought it worked. And especially like he first thinks I'm gonna beat these demons ass, and then he just comes flying at one of them, and he just like flies through it, and it like disappears, and he
Uh-huh.
does absolutely nothing. And I was just like I don't know, I thought that was great. I I was
Yeah, that
on
was a
board
pretty
for these
great.
monsters.
That was great. Yeah, that was really funny when that happened. And yeah, and I'm glad they did use a little restraint though, because I could have totally seen them like again Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style, like eating pizza and farting and burping and stuff. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
this movie was like one step away from going there. You know?
It was, and that's the thing is I think that's what really like what saves this movie, or at least what helps that balance is that it's very one step away from fart jokes,
Mhm.
and they don't go there. And so I think that's why for me it really holds the balance of all of the darkness with the kiddiness, and it works really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is so close to that.
So, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
Well, I stick with where we're at here. Where we're talking about the these demons or whatever they are exactly, but that, and then just also in general, just the whole darkness of this movie. I mean, the opening scene of this, which I thought was really great, and it's very dark overall. I mean, just like out of a different movie almost.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that in many ways, this movie with balancing that with then also with the fun and the humor is a lot like the Hellboy movies.
Mm.
Both Hellboy 1 and 2. I thought of both of them. Specifically Hellboy 2 at some parts because the whole world, of Shazam and the wizard, and how there was basically um, somebody who in the past had taken on that responsibility, and then they unleashed all of this evil upon the world.
Right.
That reminded me a lot of Hellboy 2, with just the whole backstory there, with the battle between the I can't even remember. It was like the Golden Army or something, and
I think that's right.
just the fact that you had these like two parallel universes, and you had like this like war between these elements that we as everyday people know nothing of and have never seen, but it has like this long history of good and evil. And again, like just that world is there and we just don't see it. A lot of that just for me felt very Hellboy, and then also the fact, like I said, that they have these it's very dark. You've got these interesting creatures and all of these dark elements, and then you've got your superhero who is basically a overgrown kid, and it's very much like Hellboy. So I was reminded of both of those. I think the mix is very close to the way those movies worked.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think, and especially looking at those demons. I mean, again, like and of course, Guillermo del Toro does much better demon design than anybody in the business. But I mean, I'm assuming that if we go see the new Hellboy this weekend, it's probably going to look like these creatures.
Right.
Rest in peace to the new Hellboy. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a good one. So yeah, you know what? Taking it out of the 80s and moving into comic books like you just did, I'm going to do another comic book movie, and that is Kick-Ass, a movie we have talked about on the show before plenty of times. But, in Shazam, we're also kind of dealing with that whole meta superhero world where superheroes do exist, and people who are fans of superheroes becoming superheroes, and then of course testing their abilities and posting them on YouTube, which is something that's we've seen it before. I think Kick-Ass was probably the first time I've seen it, but yeah, they do it again here, and it's a very similar kind of a gag, but it works really well. It's funny seeing them really try to push their limits and see what they can and can't do as a superhero.
No, yeah, definitely. No, I very much enjoyed the meta side of this film. I mean, one of the fun things about this is it really revels in the DC fandom. I mean, you've got a kid who loves Superman. He's like always wearing a Superman shirt or a Superman hat. He has a bullet that hits Superman. All of those elements. The fact that he had the Batarang and then it comes in later. I mean, I loved all of that. And yeah, you're right. As far as like meta superhero movies. Kick-Ass was probably the one where you had a world where superheroes did exist, and you had people becoming superheroes. I would think I would have to agree with you on that was probably the first one, and definitely very very much in line with this one. And of course, that one also was one that's a dark movie that's fun in a different way, and not quite as kid friendly. But yeah, definitely. I think
but
that's
that kids were sneaking in to see it anyway, though.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
Well, let's see. I would say the Power Rangers reboot movie. This one reminded me of that one in a lot of ways. I mean, especially toward the end when you get all of the kids from the group home, that they all have the Shazam power and they all turn.
Mm.
What I thought was really cool, though, about this one is I thought they did a really good job of actually keeping the kids' personalities when obviously, it's an adult playing the kid. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, that just was very Power Rangers to me. I think also that the Power Rangers movie, again, I don't think a lot of people liked it. I did like it a lot. I thought it was really fun. I think
I did too.
this one is a lot of fun, like that one was. That one, the you know the villain was evil, but also she was fun in her own way. And I
Hmm.
think the villain in here, Mark Strong, I think he's not necessarily fun, but I think
He
he,
hams it up.
yeah, exactly. He definitely
Hmm.
hams it up, and yeah, he's great. I was trying to think if Mark Strong had ever done like a villain like this before, and I couldn't think of anything. But he's great in this role. He is.
Yeah, he's so like just I don't know. He's just got such charisma, this guy, and everything he's in, he really brings it 100%. And one thing I do want to say though about that ending, and with all the kids turning
Right.
into their own grown up superheroes. I wish this movie, I mean, I guess it's a budget thing, but I wish this movie had enough money for, I mean, obviously, Adam Brody was Freddy grown up, but I didn't recognize any of the other actors that were the kids grown up. I
Right.
wish that some of
Yeah.
them, even like TV actors that maybe we've seen from some TV shows,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
just wish that they were cameos where it's like, oh, look who they got for that one. Oh, look who they got for that
Right.
one.
Right.
That
Right.
would have added to it instead of. I mean, I didn't recognize a single one of the other actors, just Adam Brody.
Right. Yeah.
But
I didn't either. Yeah. That definitely would have been funny, especially like it seems like that. If I remember right, didn't like Matt Damon like pop up in like the Thor Ragnarok movie or
yeah,
something?
he
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If it would have been like somebody like him pop up in there as like
Oh,
one of the more
totally.
older kids, yeah. But yeah, no, I gotcha.
Well, right on. What do I got here? Do I even have any more puzzle pieces? Well, I've got one more, and then I got one that I didn't really have a good example for, and maybe I'll bring that one up first. Maybe you've got one for it, but it was basically like a movie that takes its inspiration from foster care,
Mm,
and like all the kids
right.
coming together and working together on something. I couldn't quite think of a good example though, and I know there's been so many movies like that.
Yeah, I know I watched one not that while back. I can't even think of the name of it. It was actually a superhero movie. It was like one of those like straight to video on demand type movies.
Mhm.
And it was kind of around the same type of concept. Um, but yeah, I was trying to think of a good one too, and couldn't really come up with one for that either. Um,
Well, if anybody's listening at home and you've got one for that, just send us a message and let us know what puzzle piece deals with a bunch of foster care kids coming together and having an adventure.
right. Yeah, so that and that's the thing. The kids were great. I love the kids,
Yeah,
especially the little girl. I don't
yeah.
remember her name, but I loved her. And then I thought her as the superhero. I thought that girl really captured her spirit as well. So I
Oh
really
yeah,
liked
she
that.
did.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
I'm very, very, very curious where they're going with a sequel on this one because obviously with the end, the mid credit scene, they well, you never know with DC, but they're hinting at you know a sequel anyway.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I only have one more puzzle piece. You got some more?
Well, yeah, Hancock is one that I thought of.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Hancock in a lot of ways because again, I think it's one of those that balances, being a funny movie and also a superhero movie, and then also you've got a character who who that's the thing about Billy is that okay he even though you're supposed to be like pure of heart or whatever, I wouldn't say that he's necessarily like an innocent from the get go. I
Uh-huh.
mean, the first
Yeah.
thing we see, he's still in a cop car, so he's not innocent. And it kind of just reminds me also of Hancock, where Hancock is not necessarily a you know a Boy Scout, but that he's a good guy, and that he then realizes, oh, I've got this power and I can do good, and then it's almost like that is part of making him a better person. So,
Hmm.
and I think Billy kind of goes along that same way. So, um, yeah, and,
Billy
you know,
Batson.
and Hancock, I thought was a really really fun movie too. So
What is with these names in superhero movies? Hancock and Billy Batson and
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're just like out of
and
control.
Freddie Freeman with the
Freddie Freeman. I mean, come on. What are these names? But
Freeman, and he likes Superman. What in the world? This is
you,
not real.
you know what though? I was looking at IMDb and Demon Hansu. His character's name is just Wizard.
Nah,
Couldn't come
nice.
up with. I mean, I guess Shazam Wizard, maybe. I don't
Well, see,
know.
that's the problem. Is like so is yeah. So is his name Shazam? Is the superhero Shazam? Are they all Shazam? I mean, so
Yeah, they probably are all Shazam. That's probably how these
well,
freaking movies go.
Captain Sparkle Fingers was my favorite though, as far
That
as
is a good. That is a good name. That is a good name. Well, I might as well go with my final puzzle piece then, and then we'll get into any more that you've got. But I feel like this movie, we kind of talked about the meta elements already a little bit, but I feel like it while it is a superhero movie, it also kind of parodies a lot of
yes,
elements of superhero
exactly.
movies. So I was just gonna go to the Naked Gun, although you could enter many other parody,
Right,
classic parody movies. But I mean, Naked Gun is a great, cop action movie
right,
in its own right, while being a parody of cop action movies.
right.
And so that's why I felt like that's like kind of the perfect spoof to go to
Right.
in comparing it to this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean that's the thing. Like I was thinking about those elements as well, and I didn't think of any like specific movies per se, but I was like Freddy in many ways. He's almost like a character from like a I could see him in a Kevin Williamson movie, which of
Mm,
course he did the Screen movies, and I Know What You Did Last Summer,
yeah,
or even a Kevin Smith movie. I just feel like that. Yeah, he's just very. He's the one mostly where you get a lot of the. I mean, there are other elements that are very meta, but I think, of course, being the one that's like leading the character Billy, leading Billy along, and then also the
mm,
audience along, and kind of letting in on all the jokes or whatever.
sure,
I just felt like that he kind of could have been in a screenplay from either one of them, and
absolutely,
not necessarily any specific movie per se though. But yeah, I think also I felt the like you're saying how it's just kind of jokes at comic book movies. Yeah, I feel like there some fun was had with this, and that it kind of jabs at most of the DC movies. I feel like Suicide Squad, it's kind of jabbing at it because basically Suicide Squad is basically um, you know uh, they're supposed to be heroes, and they're kind of like creating their own problem, and then they have to solve that problem, and he was doing that at one point early on, especially with the bus, and of course the bus scene, the fact that it's a bus, that's kind of a throwback, I feel like, to you know uh, Superman olden days, like the TV show, and then also Man of Steel. Um, but back to the DC kind of parody type moments. I feel like Man of Steel. They kind of jab at Man of Steel. The fights that he has early on with Mark Strong's character, especially at the mall and all of that stuff.
oh sure,
It's just I think a lot of ways this one's done really really smart, and very very much just having fun with itself. So
sure, and with the universe
yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm curious if DC hadn't, the whole universe hadn't fallen apart the way that it has, if they would have still, completely gone in that direction, or if they'd have toned down the humor a little bit. I
Right.
wonder what we would have seen, but
Right.
I guess we'll never know that.
Right. Right.
But
And that's the thing, is that the way they actually did the Superman bit at the end, a big deal was made out of that because Henry isn't going to play Superman and it's going to be a body double, blah 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 blah. But I think it works the way that they did it. Again, like part of that just funness of the movie, and
sure.
also the fact that it's Superman and you don't see his face or anything. I just think that was a nice cap to this film. It really was.
Yeah,
It was like the perfect ending.
Yeah, they lucked out with the way that was like framed. It was kind of perfect. Like you really didn't need to see his face,
right?
Yeah. So it was a great idea. Whoever thought of it,
and then it goes into like these drawings of Batman and the Flash, like these drawings that they animate a little bit, and I just thought that it was a really cool end to the film. That's the thing. I mean, I think people that are fans of the actual movies in this universe, I think they will enjoy this movie, and then I think people that don't will enjoy it as well, because again, it's kind of just having fun with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So did you have any more puzzle pieces?
Well, I did. Just real quick, let's see here. So, well, I think I was just going to say that in a sense, this movie has its Martha moment, just like BVS and just like Glass did. The scene where he meets his mother, and I was thinking in my head though that she is no Martha. She definitely is no Martha. So anyway, because I mean that's the moment that it all comes crashing down on him, and he's like, "What the hell am I doing? I've got family, and I've got this superhero power." And then it's at that point that he becomes, Shazam, and then he goes and he jumps off of the roof and says Shazam and takes off flying, which I love that part. So I mean, for me, that was the Martha moment. That was the moment, like also in Glass, where they revealed the whole train wreck thing created the Beast. So, but I feel this movie did it so much better. Anyway.
Well, I mean, while we're at it, do you want to throw Wonder Woman in so we can get all of the DC universe puzzle pieces?
I don't. I just it does capture that that innocence of Wonder Woman, just the way that like the innocence I feel of Superman and the Superman the movie. I feel this captures Billy's innocence in that way, and his awe of like seeing things and learning things for the first time, both as a superhero and then also as an adult. So sure, yeah, we could throw Wonder Woman.
Well done. Well done. You pulled that one out.
Like the Wonder Woman ice cream moment. It's kind of that. So,
or like the Mira eating a rose moment. And Aquaman. Come on. That's the best part.
I gotcha.
Oh man, so does that bring us to our finished puzzle?
Yeah, I think we're good there.
All right, cool. Well, let's do the finished puzzle then we'll get into our closing thoughts. So our finished puzzle for Shazam is Teen Wolf, Big, Ghostbusters, The Goonies, Stranger Things, It, Gremlins, Home Alone, the Indiana Jones series, The Dark Tower, The House with the Clock in the Walls, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Hellboy series, Kick-Ass, Power Rangers, Hancock, The Naked Gun, Suicide Squad, Superman, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Glass, and Wonder Woman. That nice. Does it, man. Nice. We have made it through another entry in the DC cinematic universe. And like I had mentioned to you before we started the episode, I think we should run down our rankings, because it'll be a little while before, what is Wonder Woman 1984, the next one?
Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be a little while before then. So yeah, I think this seems like a good a time as any to briefly talk about our rankings of our DC movies.
Oh,
And I, of course, will let you go first, and then I'll just follow it up with my insignificant thoughts
okay,
on it.
okay. So should I start from the bottom and go up?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we all know what number one's going to be, anyways. But yeah, start from the bottom and go up.
If anybody knows me, they probably know number 1 and number 7. So number
Uh-huh.
7 for me is Aquaman. It's my least favorite. I do like it,
Bastard.
just don't love it. Too hammy, too corny for me. And then number 6 is Suicide Squad, which I like a lot. I have problems with. I think it's a really fun movie. I would say the first 30 minutes of it are close to perfect for me, but it's got issues. And then actually Man of Steel, because a lot of people love Man of Steel. I still have not been able to love Man of Steel. Man of Steel, when it first came out, I had huge problems with. I only have grown to love it since Batman v Superman, and I still watch it from time to time, and I think I might like it more over time. But yeah. So number 4 is actually Shazam. So I was actually surprised because I truthfully I wasn't that excited for this movie. I don't know. I mean, I was worried. I think it was going to be more of Aquaman, like the stuff I didn't like about Aquaman. But it's totally different tonally, and I mean, it blew me away though with the how it won me over with the fun of it.
Nice.
So, and then number 3, Wonder Woman. It just I can't say anything bad about Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. But number 2 is Justice League, and I know how can I put that above any of the other ones? I don't know. Justice League, there's just some moments in that movie that are just perfect. There are elements of that movie that are perfect that I really love. It's again, it's not a perfect movie. I do have big issues with it, and of course, who knows what it would have been, or if ever a Zack Snyder cut of the movie is released, what that will be. I definitely would want to see that. But yeah, I love Justice League. I don't care what anybody says.
Good.
I rewatch it all the time. I do. And then of course number 1 is Batman Begins. Wait, no, it's Batman v Superman. Dawn
I should just
of
cut
Justice.
the podcast right before you get to even say what your number 1 is. And end it.
Yeah, people are probably shocked that Batman v Superman was number 1 on my list. But yeah, for me, that's a perfect movie masterpiece. So there you go.
All right. Well, I'm going to go down my list. And I have a perfect movie masterpiece at my number 1 as well. All right. So number 7, of course, I have no use for Suicide Squad. The rest of the movies on this list I enjoyed. If not loved, I at least enjoyed.
Come on now, you got to give props to Deadshot and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're I think they did the best they could in an otherwise just awful movie, basically. Number 6 is Justice League, which I just, I think there are moments of it that are good. I'll agree with you. But it's just such a mess.
No, it is.
And it's hard for me to look past.
Well, it's funny because the 2 messiest movies you definitely have at the bottom too. So that's understandable. I can understand people that don't like Suicide Squad, and I can understand the Justice League complaints as well.
Right.
I totally can understand. If you had Wonder Woman as one of those spots, though, I'd be like, you're crazy.
You're right. No, totally. I completely agree. So number 5 is actually Shazam.
Wow.
Which I liked, but like I said, I wish it went in different directions. I like a lot of what it does. I didn't love it.
Right.
Number 4 and number 3, I almost want to make a tie, but I'm going to make number 4 Wonder Woman and number 3 Man of Steel. But it's like super close. I could seriously almost call it a tie for third place. And as much as I like about each is exactly as much as I don't like about each. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're seriously like ties, and I think they're
Michael
both done really
Shannon's your
well.
tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Um, and then number two is your favorite movie, Batman v
Mm.
Superman, which I completely agree with you is very unfairly judged. I think that there's plenty to like in the movie. It's overstuffed, but of course it is. It's Batman versus fucking Superman. But but and then the number one is the all-time greatest Aquaman, which is just I I understand that it is the stupidest movie in the world, but it is so goddamn good. I love it so much. I want to watch it a million times in my lifetime. I want to live to be 100 just so I could watch it a lot of times. It's so good. It's just so
It's a
ridiculous.
beautiful movie. It definitely is a beautiful movie. Uh,
Oh man, so good, so good. I can't wait for Aquaman 2.
and the spinoffs.
So yes, and oh yeah, I can't wait for those two.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for the crossover movie between Aquaman and the Nun. That's going to be.
Oh yes, and throw Vin Diesel in there for some reason. So Chad, you got anything you want to recommend?
Well, yeah, actually, well, two things. For the first thing, though, because this is related, I just wanted to say that if nobody's read the Forbes article that Luke White Thompson wrote on Glass, go look it up and read it. It just came out this week, and basically he says that Glass is essentially a comedy, and it is basically a very dry humor deadpanning of Batman v Superman, which I think is it's kind of a brilliant way to look at it. I I don't know. The article is basically saying that M Night is has a very very dry humor, and
Mm-hmm.
that he thinks this is hilarious. I don't know. I don't know. I did not watch the movie that way, thinking that. I might have a different view of the movie if I rewatch it now, thinking that it's supposed to be funny. And then that makes sense with the whole showdown thing, because that's supposed to
That's
be funny.
interesting.
It's not that he's supposed
Right.
to be like telling us something serious. It's supposed to be funny. So I don't know. I don't know. But I like
I
that.
kind of want to
And
rewatch it now. That's very
exactly,
interesting.
exactly, and that's the thing is that Luke, he is a friend of mine. He is on my Facebook, and it's funny when he posted his review, he said, I feel like this is the perfect movie for," and he tagged me in it, and I was like, I've got to read this article, and so yeah, I thought that was pretty great because yes, I love M Night, and I do love Batman v Superman. And I, of course, that was one of my big puzzle pieces in talking about Glass, but I didn't
Sure.
see it as a comedy. I saw it as M. Night needs to watch this movie. So I don't know. I might see it different now. So brings me though to a movie I wanted to recommend that I watched the other night. It's on Prime Video. It's one that I think you'll enjoy, Dave. I think actually Gina, you should watch it with her. She'll enjoy it. It's called
Okay.
Braid, and it's a lot like an A2. I almost said A24 because that's what I say. I know you say A24. A24. I don't know which way it is. A24. It's like one of their movies in many ways. And at the same time, because somebody asked me, I recommended it at work, and they said, "Well, what's it like?" And I said, "Well, it's kind of like if A24 made a movie like Glass, because it's kind of like Glass in that it deals with mental illness, and it also deals with possible the supernatural, and some weird stuff happens. And it's three people basically in a house. But I instantly am a big fan of the director. I'd never heard of her before, Mitzi Palrone, I think. Um,
Hmm.
but I think this was her first feature film. It just it's a weird movie. I think there's a lot to like unpack with it, and I haven't even really fully processed it. But it's a lot like movies like Mother and Hereditary and The Witch. Just that there's lots going on, and it's like it's weirds you out, it creeps you out, and then you're like, what did I just watch? So very,
Well, sounds great. It sounds
yeah.
really
Very,
interesting.
I definitely highly recommend it. So, and I'd been wanting to tell you this, and I was like, we're going to do a show, so I'm going to just wait and tell him then.
Nice. Well, right on, man. I think that about does it. Do you want to plug anything of yours before we get going?
No, no. We still don't have any announcements yet with like Wizard Fest.
Hmm.
We are planning to do it again, but nothing yet to be
Okay.
announced. But hopefully soon. Oh, and I was just going to say real quick because I'd wrote down this note here about Shazam. If you want to, quickly describe this movie to somebody, you can say it is a kid-friendly, dark, meta superhero Christmas movie.
I think that about does it right there.
Hi there, Fancy Octopus here, and I have two questions for you. The first one's not really a question, it's because do you like to laugh? I mean, yeah, who doesn't? So really the first question is the second question, which is, do you like stories? Because if so, you got to check out this podcast I'm doing from the bottom of the sea called Buried Gems. It's where me and Proper Gent, my co-host, go through the internet and try and find the buried gems of internet fan fiction and original fiction to try and find the next big Harry Potter. You got to hear these stories because how else are you going to know what the next big Harry Potter is? How do you know what's the next thing to throw all your money at? So come give us a listen, find some new fiction. We're on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Buried Gems. Thanks.
All right, so that does it for today's conversation on Shazam. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you are subscribed to Piecing It Together. And you know what? From the looks of it, you are, because this month I'm trying my best to not look at our stats ever since we hit the 5,000 downloads marker about a week ago, and which is an amazing milestone for the show. And I do want to thank you all who have been listening for getting us there. But I'm trying real hard to not look now. It's kind of like that thing, like when you're on the scale and you don't want to look at the scale while you're trying to lose weight or whatever. I'm trying to not look and see that number go up on the downloads. I want to just kind of let it go. But I kind of broke today and I looked and whoa, like we're having a really good month. And yeah, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you are enjoying the show. As always, you can rate and review us on iTunes. You can also just get directly in touch with us. Tweet at us at PiecingPod or join the Facebook group, Piecing It Together, a movie discussion group. Or you can email me directly by davidrosen@gmail.com. That's my email address. The show has an email too, but I don't check it very often, so don't email that. Maybe one day I'll get professional and actually start using it, but I don't know. It's a lot of work. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear what you're thinking of the show. And, we've got a whole bunch of episodes in the can that we're going to be posting soon and planning on recording a whole bunch of new episodes on some of these new movies that have been coming out. So we have plenty more Piecing It Together coming. So that does it for today. We'll be back next week, I think, with Dragged Across Concrete, but we'll see. We might be squeezing something in between now and then. But for now, let's leave you guys with a piece of music. And here's something kind of superhero-ish. It's a track called Made of Stone from my album Head Like Fire. Enjoy this track, and we will be back next week with more Piecing It Together. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I told you on the last episode that I would let you know how that Sony Digital Cinema is at the new Galaxy Boulevard Mall, which is where I actually got to see Shazam. Thank you, Josh Bell, for the invite to the press opening. But yeah, I got to tell you how it was, and I got to say it looks pretty damn good. Most likely if you listen to the show that I'm a Dolby guy. I love Dolby Cinema. I don't know that I liked it more than Dolby Cinema, but it's up there. I mean, it looks really, really good. The contrast levels, and supposedly it's the first one in the entire world. So you might want to come to Vegas and see a movie sometime soon.
and all points west.